Hey guys, this is Anime Ball Z here, and today we are going to be doing the second part to what if Goku got stronger from pain. Please like the video if you haven't already and subscribe. It's totally free and you can unsubscribe whenever you want. There's nothing much else I'd like to say in the intro, so without further ado, let's get into the video.
Slick talker since a jet. Winter time, all the time, ooh, yeah. Look at the way that I move, swag. Disrespectful and I'm rude, okay. I had cocaine in the school.
What follows is the mission to try and get their friends back. Gohan, Goku and Krillin are the only ones alive, and with those that are injured healing slowly from their injuries, there aren't any more senzu beans that Krillin can offer them, and so they must play the waiting game. Krillin is pretty much fully okay along with Gohan, however Goku isn't faring too well and the additional person healing is Raditz. They've kept him on special sedatives, strong enough to keep him out of it as he recovers. They just don't know what he'll do. They aren't worried about themselves, but more for the innocent humans out there. Raditz is even weaker than Krillin by a large margin, so they could contain him easily. They're just more worried about how they could save other innocents from his wrath if he were to let loose. They soon get to Mr. Popo, who speaks of the Lake Kami ship that was used for him to come from Namek in. They then get Bulma on its refurbishment and Gohan and Krillin get ready to leave themselves. Now without Goku they aren't feeling confident, but it won't be long before he'll be on his way too. They head to Namek as usual, with Krillin and Goku conducting their usual searching on the vast planet for their own Dragon Balls. Krillin and Gohan soon creep up on Zarbon and Dodoria as they slaughter innocent Namekians. Gohan, being the pure-hearted Saiyan that he is, feels their pain. With that pain though comes power for him. Additionally, his rage is tied to the hidden reserves of strength that he unconsciously taps into, like in the canon timeline. These two factors drive up his power beyond his previously thought to be limits. Krillin can feel his ki flaring up and starts trembling from what he knows is about to happen. "Gohan, please stay down," Krillin whispers loudly until Dodoria looks in their direction. He can see Gohan stood with his hair flowing from the ki that he can't keep contained within. He blasts straight down there and goes in to kick Dodoria in his chest, just like he did in canon. Gohan is much stronger here, so his kick breaks his armor and sends him flying back. Sliding along the ground, Krillin takes Dende before anything can happen to him and then shouts for Gohan to leave. He gives one last glare to Zarbon and Frieza before following Krillin's advice and leaving. "What are you doing? Go and get him," Frieza shouts. Dodoria holds his chest in pain, but then lifts to follow them. They fly off as fast as they can, with Gohan staying at Krillin's side for safety reasons. Dodoria speeds ahead to try and catch them, but they dive down and suppress their ki whilst hiding behind rocks so they aren't found. Dodoria continues looking around, annoyed at the lack of people he can see. This is when Vegeta arrives with his 24,000 power level. Dodoria is defeated all the same, and this gives the humans the slight time window they need to escape. Following this, Vegeta is up against Zarbon and is still defeated seamlessly. He wanted to take the anger of his defeat to Kakarot out on these warriors, but losing to Zarbon makes him even angrier. It makes his blood boil to find yet another person superior to him. He must change that as quickly as possible. He can't stay this weak any longer. He won't allow it. During this time, Goku is on his way and has healed. His power level began at 240,000, but with senzu beans and time to train in the gravity chamber, his power is about to skyrocket. Someone else is within his ranks too, Raditz. There is no need to keep him on Earth. Without Vegeta to order him around, he was surprisingly okay with the way he was being treated. He stayed somewhat calm and didn't really lash out at anyone. This gives them each other as respective training partners, allowing them to spar and work with each other to further their training. He doesn't dig into that same darkness that he did before. He even gets nightmares from the feelings that he let empower him. He'd much rather rely on the physical pain from training to power himself further, since it doesn't last forever and doesn't affect him as much mentally. Dende tells Gohan and Krillin about Guru, and Krillin heads there with him first. During this time, Gohan finds one of Vegeta's Dragon Balls and takes it away with him, like in canon. Soon Krillin and Dende return, and Krillin's power level is now at 40,000. Krillin's power level in canon at this point was stated to be around 15,000, but he has a much higher base in this what if. Therefore, I think this greater potential boost is valid. We also don't really know how strong Krillin was at this point. The power levels that people use are basically estimations. There's no true definitive power level for Krillin after he got the potential unlocking. Upon arriving back, Vegeta lands ahead of Krillin and confronts him. He's taken one of his Dragon Balls and he wants it back. Vegeta's power level after his defeat to Zarbon is around 40,000 as well. Krillin can sense his ki and he's strong, but he feels like he won't just lose. He could stand a chance here. He stands ahead and isn't the usual terrified, scared Krillin that we've come to know. No, he has power to fall back on, to rely on. "No, I won't just hand you the Dragon Ball. Your friend literally killed my closest friends. We're here to bring them back to life," Krillin barks back. "You better watch your words, Earthling. You don't want to fight with me," Vegeta says, with the calmness and politeness gone from his tone. Krillin doesn't reply, but he doesn't back down. He's ready for whatever is going to come his way. "If that's what you want, human," Vegeta shouts, powering up and charging straight at him. He flies over the land and Krillin stands firm, blocking his first kick. The kick rattles his whole body, but he knows that this is the sort of power that he can output himself. He can win this. Vegeta then continues with a fast wave of attacks, taking Krillin off guard and landing a good number of hits. However, he can see that he's using the same sort of punches and telegraphing as he does so. After watching Goku's fight with him too, he can see that he's fighting in a similar way. A right hand, Krillin thinks. As he expected, Vegeta comes at him with that exact punch. Knowing what's headed his way, Krillin can counter in the best way. Leaning out the way of his fist, he punches him straight in the face and then swings in a kick to buckle in Vegeta's knee. Finally, he swings in an elbow to his chin, but Vegeta is quick enough to block, but the attack still sent him sliding back a few meters. Now this shocks Vegeta, totally shocks him. He grew from a Zenkai, defeated Zarbon, who is one of the strongest fighters that Frieza relies on. Now he's fighting Krillin as if they're equals. Vegeta leaps up from having this thought and his mind becomes blank with rage. Charging forward, he thrusts in a massive kick and sends Krillin flying back. Vegeta continues with the same aggression and Krillin has to stay careful, but this makes Vegeta predictable. Vegeta continues to try and throw in these same attacks repeatedly and Krillin starts picking him apart and analysing him, finding weak points and striking him in areas he knows he can't guard. Vegeta lifts his hands to try and strike them down, but Krillin steps back, then lifts his hands to his face, the solar flare. Vegeta is struck by the bright light and can't even see a thing. All there is this painful white flash. In this time, Krillin shouts and grows his Destructo Disc. He's tired of this. He's tired of this. After being treated like a weakling and beaten, left terrified on Earth, he wants to make things right. This guy ahead of him is evil. He's already destroyed an entire Namekian village and killed innocents. The glowing golden disc spins violently and Krillin wants to just get rid of him, but he hesitates for too long. Vegeta soon returns to his senses, then starts looking into the sky. "The Ginyu Force," he whispers, rising. His tail falls loose from his waist and waggles around. He then wiggles his fingers and the Force land not too far from them. Shortly after this as well, Gohan has arrived at the crew. Once he arrives again, they're almost terrified of the power that he has. 125,000. He's almost a new fighter entirely. The aura exuding off him is intense and he can also sense the dark ki of the Ginyu Force. Vegeta was initially going to use the fear from these humans to try and get them to fight with him against that Ginyu Force, but upon sensing their ki, he can see that is not the case. This low-class Saiyan child has far surpassed him. They all fly over there, but none of them are scared. Vegeta has his tail intact and could pull out his fake moon at any moment. Captain Ginyu, the strongest of them, isn't even here right now. Vegeta isn't at all associated with the people behind him. "Don't interrupt," Vegeta shouts, before leaping at the crew. Even if Gohan is stronger, he's taking this fight himself. Since he's so fast, Gordo can't even go for the use of his frozen time power in time. Kicking at Gordo's head, he destroys it, then places both hands to Jace's chest, blasting straight through it. Turning to Recoome, he elbows him in the chest, but he doesn't seem to falter as easily. Leaping straight back to him as he's slidden away, he gets grabbed and thrown back. A challenge. This makes Vegeta smile. The prince powers up violently, releasing every ounce of power that he has. Releasing his tail from his waist, it waggles violently and he charges straight back at them. Recoome and Berta aren't willing to die just like Jace and Goldo did, so they band together. Berta steps forward with his greater speed and hits Vegeta with a wave of punches and kicks. Subsequently, Recoome steps in and throws attacks while Vegeta is so flustered by the assault. Now individually, Vegeta would stand a much better chance, but when they fight together, they can deal large volumes of damage. They continue attacking him, and since they can attack him from various angles, they connect frequently. Krillin and Gohan don't even like Vegeta, but they struggle to stand by and watch him get pummeled like this. However, they think back to the stern, bold face that he had when he ordered for them to stay back. Gohan is strong enough to disobey him basically, but this is his fault anyway. This is what he wanted in the end. However, Gohan is pure of heart. He stands there and feels a slight feeling of mental distress, pain, power. He starts to take a step forward, but then out of nowhere, Rakoome's head goes flying off. A blurry figure spins violently above the two remaining fighters, before landing and then punching straight through Berta's chest. His face is covered by the long thick head of black hair that reaches down his torso and even to his hamstrings. Raditz. Ripping his fist from his body, Berta flops down and Raditz stands there with a smile on his face, wiping his hand. "Surprised to see me, Vegeta?" Raditz asks, as Goku then lands beside him. Goku doesn't even have a smile on his face and actually looks quite quite angry from what he's done here. "You shouldn't have done that, Raditz. They didn't deserve to die," Goku says, in a darker voice that Krillin and Gohan aren't used to. "Doesn't matter now, does it? Why do you even want to save those people?" "I'll never understand you, Kakarot," Raditz says back. Instead of staying back and staying weak, Raditz headed with Goku on the ship to Namek. In that ship, Goku worked him hard. Using their senzu beans, they were able to reach new heights. During this time, Goku tapped back into that darkness. He didn't think that he would. However, it feels different now. When he feels pain, it doesn't just feel like distressing, uncomfortable agony. Somehow, the power that he knows he's getting from it almost makes it okay in a way. Vegeta is just stood there astonished. Goku's power level has lifted even higher to 400,000. Along with that, Raditz's has grown to 150,000. Raditz's power level is so high here because he had Goku with him to train with and to intensify his training. Seconds later, Ginyu arrives in front of the group of Saiyans, then scans the power levels exuding from them. 150,000, 125,000. Goku's power level is suppressed, but the power from Raditz and Gohan alone is terrifying. His is only at 105,000. What is he going to do? There's only one thing he knows to do. He shoots his body switching blast at one of them, Raditz. However, he knows his powers. He's heard rumors from members in the crew and steps beside the golden blast, letting it soar into the skies of Namek. A moment after, he leaps at the purple fighter and swings in a bone-crushing kick onto his chest. He continues with slow but extremely powerful punches intended to just break the captain down. With a final elbow to his jaw, Ginyu passes out and topples down. Finally, Raditz does want to take him out, but Goku grabs his wrist. No, Goku then orders, throwing his hand to the side. Gohan and Krillin then rush over, with Gohan going in to hug his father. Goku hugs him back and feels so happy to feel this warmth again, this happiness. Their peace and reunion can't last for long as Frieza lands before them. The strongest person they've ever seen, a true warrior above anything they've ever perceived before. Vegeta knows how strong this person is and isn't scared to resort to the Uzaru form. Raditz, Vegeta and Gohan's tails are still intact, but now with them so strong that might not even need to be an option anymore. Vegeta wants to be at the head of this group against Frieza, but these stronger fighters all eventually step ahead of him. Goku and Raditz block his view of Frieza, with Gohan also standing ahead of him. Krillin is the only one left at his level, stood behind this wall of powerful Saiyan warriors. "Frieza, I wasn't expecting to see you here," Raditz shouts out with a newfound confidence. He doesn't talk to him like a soldier would to his emperor, no, he talks as if they're just as strong as each other, of the same class. This makes Frieza furious, but he keeps that anger contained. "I wasn't expecting to see you here either, Raditz. I'm impressed, you were able to take down my soldiers quite swiftly. However, you've all interrupted my mission to acquire the Dragon Balls, and as a result directly gone against my empire," Frieza states. "Am I bothered, Frieza? I will destroy your puny empire, I'm not your soldier anymore. I will show you the power of the Saiyans you failed to destroy. The fact we were off-world that day will be your greatest regret," Raditz roars. Shouting vehemently, he powers up and fires himself off toward Frieza. Punching him in the face, he doesn't move. Then Frieza shoots a death beam straight through his chest, missing his heart by literal inches. Blood spurts out his mouth and he falls down seconds from death. Gohan looks terrified from seeing this. It's only Goku that can see this and remains somewhat contained. The pain and warmth from anger in his body is something that he feels far too often. He steps up next, charging at Frieza while Dende rushes to the Saiyan's aid. Goku punches Frieza in the face just like Raditz did and actually throws it back. But Frieza spins over the next punch heading his way and kicks Goku in the neck, sending him sliding back. He then jumps at him and flips elegantly, throwing down a kick that he lands on one of his collarbones. The ground cracks upon feeling this massive force run through the ground, and he then lands again to thrust forward both hands into his solar plexus. This combination of shots are raw and explosive, each packing serious amounts of power. Even with his tiny unimpressive frame, Frieza is an absolute monster. Goku doesn't stay back for even half a second, he's already rushing straight back to Frieza. Frieza takes pleasure in beating him as he repeatedly comes back like a headless chicken. After several combinations, it doesn't seem like he's trying to fight back at all. Frieza is stronger of course, but he's not stronger by a very large margin. Goku could fight back and deal some damage, at least land some hits, but he's choosing not to do so. He just lets several attacks fly back at him, hitting him in various places. They continue to fire off at him and he just stands there like a tank. Frieza uppercuts Goku and sends blood flying out his nose and mouth. Throwing a lower gut punch, the Saiyan coughs out blood and falls to one knee. His head falls and it remains aimed low for a few seconds. However, he then lifts it and smiles maniacally with blood covering his teeth. this pain, this power. Why is he smiling? Frieza is almost terrified from this beast-like demonic face staring into his soul. Just who is this Saiyan? Is he sane? Goku fires up onto his feet with a new power level of 550,000 before he is even healed to receive a Zenkai. Dende looks resistant to heal him, from the darkness he can feel coming from him. However, Gohan and Krillin insist that it's okay. Goku even looks back and even smiles at him, leaving Dende with some conflicting evidence. He just looked like an evil, insane person, but now he turns and gives him a benevolent smile. Just what is going on here? After Dende begrudgingly heals him, his power level is now at 850,000. His body has just been flooded with new power and he isn't afraid to use it. He thrusts forward his foot to kick Frieza in the chest and shatters his armor. He's sent flying and the others can't believe it. Goku just sent the Frieza flying. His domination against him only reaffirmed his superiority, but now a Saiyan has surpassed him. The Emperor slowly makes his way back, dusting off his physique. He doesn't just continue and try and fight aggressively, because that hit actually hurt him quite a lot. He felt the pain throughout his entire body, but doesn't show that on his face. Before the fight continues, he enters his gargantuan second form. In this much larger physique, he towers over Kakarot and tries to be intimidating, but he doesn't let that get to him. All of the others just have to remain back, terrified of this new form of his. Goku doesn't let fear take him over though, and throws himself right back into the fight. As his fist advances toward Frieza, he strikes it away like it's nothing, before punching Goku in his cheek. Grabbing him by the neck, he pulls him in to kick him in the chest and then shoots his tail out to suffocate him. Goku struggles to resist, and once he is lifted off the ground, he can't really do much. No, Gohan shouts, seeing that his father could die at any moment. Stay back, Gohan, don't get yourself killed, Krillin urges, placing his hand on his chest. Gohan can feel his hand trembling as it's on his chest as well. Even he is terrified too. Raditz's power level has grown to 600,000 after his near-death injury from Frieza, but that won't make him anywhere near strong enough to do much. However, he can't just stand back and watch. That makes him no better than someone like Vegeta or Frieza. Totally apathetic and self-absorbed. He rushes in and grabs onto the tail, trying his best to wrestle with it. Even if Frieza is powerful and more powerful than him, Raditz's whole body is stronger than just Frieza's tail. Therefore, he just about manages to free his brother from Frieza's grasp. His near unconscious brother falls to the ground, and it takes a few seconds before he can return to his senses. "Your fight is with me, Frieza," Raditz shouts, pointing at himself. His finger is literally trembling as he does this. As much as he tries to hide it, he is terrified and there's nothing he can do to change that. However, all he can do is fight through and try his best to take down the man that has oppressed him for decades. Even though he tries to take over, there's little he can do. There isn't a thing that any of them can do to match Frieza. His raw strength, speed, talent, it just can't be matched. Raditz falls back out of breath and with blood flowing down his face, then Dende heals him. Goku's power level is raised up yet again to 1 million. The pain that Frieza inflicted on him was felt physically and mentally. This continues to make him stronger. Frieza then transforms again. He's going to end this quickly. He shows off his monstrous third form, terrifying the likes of Krillin and Gohan. Frieza speeds forward and grabs Goku by the neck to slam him down. Everyone stood there around him must retreat as fast as they can, then Frieza tries to shoot out a death beam through Dende. However, Raditz sees this and knows what he's trying to do. He leaps in the way and lets the blast fly straight through him instead. Again, he has been gravely injured, but their healer surviving will stand them in good stead. Seeing Goku struggling to breathe, coughing out blood, Gohan can't stand back any longer. Exploding with rage, this mental pain also powers himself, constantly making him stronger. Flying forward as fast as he can, he punches Frieza in the face and somehow sends him flying. He then chases right after him, punching him in the face before kicking him upwards. Flying past Frieza as he ascends, he then unleashes a wave of ki blasts on him. Those around have to retreat even further to get out of this splash zone and can't believe the level of power that this boy has unleashed from out of nowhere. Vegeta is lost for words. As every minute passes, the gap between him and everyone else only continues to enlarge. It's like he's been left in a shadow with this bold human as one of his equals. The smoke blocks Frieza from view, but he goes flying out from out of it and takes Gohan down as his power starts to fade off with his rage. It only lasted a short moment, and the gap between Frieza's power and Gohan's only starts to enlarge. There's very little that he can do, and Frieza cements his superiority once again. Gohan ends up slamming into Krillin, toppling them both over, and Frieza then enters his final form. It looks over for them. Frieza shoots a death beam through Dende and then lifts up Krillin and Gohan. He feels like he's been humiliated by these Saiyans. Goku managed to challenge him in his second form, and that kid also did the same in his third form. All that he has on his mind is ruthless murder, revenge. Revenge for his humiliation. Gohan and Krillin are lifted to the sky and Goku's heart drops. Frieza, wait, don't do it, he pleads, showing pure emotion that he hasn't done in so long. All he can do is pray that Frieza has mercy. His heartbeats have become erratic, chaotic. The two fighters turn to explosions, not even their clothes are left to descend. Everything has been turned to pure ash. Even Vegeta has his hands on his head along with Raditz. For the first time, the two Saiyans are actually on the same page. Frieza's evil and terribly wrong for what he's just done. Goku continues to look up there with his blank face and skin a pale, sickly white. He then thinks back to when Grandpa Gohan died, when he let Krillin die in the King Piccolo saga. It was all out of his power, they didn't have to go through that. Goku's power starts bubbling up, not just from his pain but from something else as well. Raising to his feet, the ground starts to rumble from the power oozing from him. He can't keep it contained. Frieza lowers his hand and just watches, unmoving. From out of nowhere, Goku roars and lets the rage consume him. The legendary Super Saiyan is born. His aura flares around him chaotically and exudes pure power. His power level is raised to 75 million and only continues to climb. Blasting off towards Frieza, he punches him in the chest and breaks several of his ribs. He's still heavily suppressed, but Goku doesn't want to give him a single half second to let himself recuperate. Grabbing his loose tail, he swings him around and slams him down. Goku continues beating him down, not giving him an inch of breathing space. Frieza can't even track him as he resembles this golden blur of light and power. Even when he manages to lift his power level up to 60 million, it's not enough. Frieza does manage to catch Goku with a punch to his face, but he tanks it and then lets off a sinister smile. As the next punch comes his way, he just slaps it away. Then, thrusting his own fist forward with as much force as he can muster, it flies straight through Frieza's whole chest. Blood spurts out from the wound and he rips it out savagely to let Frieza flop to the ground. His vision then starts to blur. It's over. Launching a one-hand energy wave, Goku reduces Frieza to just a scorched corpse in pieces. There is a brief sense of triumph with him, but then this feeling is overshadowed by loss, grief at the death of his friends, but also disgust with the brutality that he's decided to utilize. He's no different from him, killing brutally and mercilessly. Tears flow down his face and he falls to his hands and knees. The pain is just too much. Kakarot, you did it. You're the Super Saiyan of legend. You beat Frieza, Raditz says, with an elated voice. He just can't believe what he's just seen. They're free. They're all free. Goku has avenged the Saiyans and taken down the Emperor that oppressed them for so many decades. His tears stop as he realizes that they've won. He can now wish for those that have been killed to be revived. Their first wish is to bring back Kami so that the Earth Dragon Balls come back. They then realize that Porunga can't revive multiple people with a single wish. However, this is still well within Shenron's abilities, so they gather the Earth Dragon Balls at the same time and get that wish done on Earth. The specific wish utilized is to revive everyone killed by Frieza and his army. This brings back people like Krillin and Gohan, but also other people like Tien and Yamcha. Goku can rejoice upon seeing his son and closest friend alive again. Raditz is happy to see his brother so happy and to see that peace is upon them and the whole galaxy. It's a nice warm feeling that he hasn't had in a long time. Ever since his mother and father were killed, Nappa and Vegeta were his only family and they treated him like trash. Like he wasn't even a person. Respect comes from power for Saiyans. If you're not powerful, you're not respected, and Raditz was terribly weak for a Saiyan. Therefore, he wasn't respected at all. However, it's happy to know that he can receive respect from those around him, not from his power. However, he is strong as well, so for people like Vegeta that only respect powerful people, he can gain their respect as well. Goku, Gohan and Krillin then start thinking about how they're going to return to Earth. Then Raditz turns back to Vegeta, who's kind of just watching the whole thing idly. So many thoughts are racing through his mind and they're not really coherent either. It's mainly just abstract concepts and intense emotions. Humiliation, anger, happiness at the death of Frieza. He's been following them, but his mind has been in a totally different realm. Vegeta, Raditz shouts, making him startled and bringing his eyes up to him. Where are you going now? The army's gone, we can do what we want now, Raditz says. Even if Raditz hates Vegeta for how he thinks, the man he is, he's one of the closest people to him right now. He doesn't want to just isolate him from everyone else. Vegeta doesn't reply, his eyes just drift off to the distance again, as his clouded mind struggles to focus on what's going on around him. Come on, Uncle Raditz, what are you waiting for? Gohan asks him. Are you not coming along? I mean, I'm going back to Earth with them. There's nowhere else for us to go, why don't you just come along, Raditz asks. Vegeta's mind is still racing, but he steps with Raditz as he does. The group all head back to Earth with Vegeta not saying a single word to any of them. As they fly over to Earth, they end up stuck on Yardrat for a year, where they learn some of their techniques. This is when Vegeta starts to slowly but surely warm up to the others. They all manage to learn instant transmission, with Krillin showcasing his adeptness for learning techniques. He ventures further than the rest of them and learns gigantification and cloning, becoming somewhat proficient with spirit control. As they arrive later that year, they're surprised at what they see. This purple-haired Saiyan has just slain Frieza that somehow survived and returned to Earth with his father. The fighters all step out in Yardrat gear and look happy and jolly. Vegeta is stood by Raditz and seems to have calmed down quite a bit. There were times where he had temper tantrums, annoyed at himself and the others for surpassing him. However, Raditz was always there to bring him back, to help him calm down. Vegeta never understood it and doesn't really to this day. He'd never do that for anyone else, he just isn't bothered at all. He's never really cared about someone like that enough to just look past himself and be so selfless. Raditz knows that, but he still sees Vegeta as a close friend. He can't just let his mind break down from all of his self-deprecating thoughts. He doesn't want to see Vegeta fall apart from that. Anyway, Goku goes on to talk to Trunks about what's happening and seems happier than before. He's still not back to his fully jolly self, but he has used that meditation to look back on the pain that he's put himself through. He used those day-long, week-long meditation sessions to think back to this darkness that was growing inside him, to try and detach it from his mentality as much as possible. He's eventually learned to see this darkness as merely a vehicle for power, not anything that should properly affect him. Trunks goes on to explain to him what will happen with Goku contracting the heart virus and dying. Goku is up for what is to come, the androids, and so is everyone else. With Yamcha and Tien seeing how strong Krillin has become, they don't want to get left behind themselves. 3 years of tough training ensues, and since Vegeta spent so much time with Raditz, he ends up training with him more and doesn't just go rogue and off-world for this time. Raditz also keeps him calmer and checks him whenever he acts arrogantly or lets his inferiority complex take total control. The years pass and the androids are here. Goku leaps into the sky of Sasebo and finds them, guiding his descent to then land in front of Android 19 and 20. 19 and 20 look a little startled to see that Goku found them so quickly. However, Goku doesn't even give them much time for thought. He charges at them and grabs 19's outstretched arm in Super Saiyan. Ripping it from his body, he smashes his face with it and the android just falls and looks dead. Goku, growing from all the terrible things that have happened to him and from the physical pain of training, means that he grows exponentially stronger from training. Just after these 3 years, he's like a new man. Dr. Gero looks startled and flies off, then Goku tries to blast him away before he can escape. However, Trunks grabs his hand and stops him from doing so. He then explains to him and everyone else that these androids aren't the ones that he saw in his own timeline. He could be going to activate more, and therefore they should follow him to know where those androids are so that they can be swiftly dealt with. They end up facing the metal barricade of Dr. Gero's lab and things aren't going exactly as expected. Trunks hoped that they could nip it in the bud, get rid of the androids before they'd be activated, but they can't really find their way into his lab. They end up facing the metal barricade to a lab and Goku's breath starts getting heavier and heavier. The heart disease is working up. The androids are revealed, the androids that Trunks knows all too well, Android 17 and Android 18. Goku is taken away due to his weakness, leaving the others to try and deal with him. Vegeta stands forward and wants to take on the fight himself. 18 stands ahead of 16 and 17, with Vegeta showing off his Super Saiyan form. Using instant transmission, he appears in front of 18 and punches her in the face. As she tries to retaliate and attack herself, he disappears then appears behind her, double drop kicking her straight in the back. This kick thrusts her forward and leaves her to stumble quite badly. What, are you confused about how this fight is turning out? It's impossible for you to challenge the power of the Saiyans, Vegeta claims. 18 just grunts with anger, throwing back her elbow, but Vegeta takes it and slides back slowly. As the fight continues, they seem like equals. Vegeta can land good hits, 18 can do the same. To 17 that watches this, he finds it quite humiliating, to be honest. Soon though, 18 starts to gain the advantage. Her infinite energy reserves means that she can continue fighting at her complete best, while Vegeta just can't. As every minute passes, he's growing weaker and more tired. Vegeta just stands there using his arms to try and block most of the attacks, but he isn't doing that well. Android 18 can break through his defenses rather easily now that he's so exhausted, and kicks one of his arms so hard that he falls onto a knee. 18 stands over him, not even with faster than normal breath. She hasn't even broken a sweat. Vegeta shouts with anger at his clear defeat and swings up a punch at her, but all she has to do is step back to watch it fly past her face. It doesn't connect. With Vegeta so off balance as well, all she has to do is kick forward to throw him onto his back. Yet again, Vegeta, forcing me to bail you out, Raditz says, stepping forward. Why are you acting like this has happened before? And you're not bailing me out, I could carry on fighting if I wanted to, I've only gotten started, Vegeta says, before bursting out coughing and falling onto his back again. He definitely could not carry on if he wanted to. That is true, it just sounded cool to say, to be honest, Raditz replies. Anyway, both of you are going down now, Raditz says, pointing at them. He pulls his fist back to his side, then starts shouting, drawing from the power within. His hair flows, then lifts slightly in some areas. The black hair then switches to a pure bright blonde and his Super Saiyan form manifests. 18 isn't scared of these Saiyans, he's already taken down one of them and she's aware of Raditz. Raditz catches her initial punch though. It isn't easy, but he doesn't fall back from it either. I'm not going to just be a pushover android. Don't think the fight with me will be like the one you've just had, he comments. Throwing her fist to the side, he thrusts forward his much larger fist and sends her stumbling back with a strong punch. Come on then, android, show me what you've got. So that will conclude the second part to what if Goku got stronger from pain. Please tell me something you liked about this part or something that I should improve on for the next one. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.